It's finally time for Throwback Weekend, a month earlier than usual. So today we're going to go through my 10 favorite throwbacks so far. I think these are the ones that best put forth what this weekend's all about. And I'll just let you know, this is not going to be me dinging somebody because they don't have the right sponsor or whatnot. Whatever to me captures that throwback feel the most, whether it's the most accurate or it's a little off, is going to be on this list. So let's get right into it. One that caught my eye immediately was the 28 Xfinity ride for Kyle Sieg that was throwing back to Ricky Rudd's 2002 Night Owl scheme. While not having Havoline, having Night Owl on it kind of reminds me of a nostalgic feel when I would get a nice Brad Light car or a nice Dale Jr. beer car because they couldn't put it on there, and this reminds me of what they would put in the video games in a lot of ways. Otherwise, it's nearly perfect. Simple colors and an accurate number go a long way for me of making a scheme look good. And to add to all of that, they did not just cop out and have a really easy number 28 gray ghost throwback. Instead, they went and did something a little different. On the Cup side, one I really liked was Joey Logano's throwback to Cale Yarborough. I appreciate the font change of the number, because if you're not able to change the number itself, which I didn't think they'd be able to, honestly, then you should at least have the font look the same. And the old school Pennzoil logo I think really fits as well. Honestly, this shade of yellow to me just feels like it was ripped straight out of the 70s. Doesn't matter if it's NASCAR or some kind of Netflix show or documentary, I always seem to see this kind of muted yellow color, and it just fits in a lot of ways. I love the old school fire suit that they're doing as well. I think that can always be added on to a throwback and look great. And all in all, I just think that this is one that's going to stand out for a lot of people on the racetrack Sunday. On the Xfinity side, I think Leland Honeyman's number 70 machine that's throwing back to the 2000 paint scheme of Jeff Green in his championship season is long overdue. This one is, I think, nearly spot on, and I like the ability to make it look like that old car even though it's not the same sponsorship. The 70 honestly could be mistaken for a 10 just because of how the font is, which I actually think adds a lot to it as well. And the scheme I think deserves to be remembered. It's been 25 years since Jeff Green won that championship. It should be remembered more, and the fact that we have had now a decade of throwback weekends without this one taking center stage in Xfinity is honestly shocking. Denny Hamlin's throwback to Carl Edwards is one that I think I'm going to be in my top 10 list because of just member berries alone. Carl Edwards appreciation on this channel is always welcome, and I think that when you have sport clips have their colors the way they are and have them fit this paint scheme, having it be this accurate is a must because the sponsor and the font of the number is not the same, so you need to nail the paint scheme. And honestly, I think this paint scheme could be the primary scheme for the 11 sport clip machine. And with that, I also like the touch that these two competed against each other. They were teammates at one time, but before that, competed against each other head-to-head from 2005 to roughly 2008 with this scheme on Carl Edwards' car. How far both have come. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for not having this one in the top 2 or 3, but I'm going to put William Byron's throwback to Jeff Gordon's final ride in the 24 right here because, while I think it's about perfect when it comes to being accurate, you have the number, the colors, and the sponsors pretty much all the same other than some associates. I have to admit I'm kind of Exalta flamed out when it comes to these kind of throwbacks. It's pretty much expected, and they've done so many of the ones we've seen before with the Rainbow Warriors and the Flames and all of that, that now this one to me, and I get it probably has a lot more sentimental meaning to Jeff Gordon fans rather than me, a Dale Jr. fan, but this just kind of is expected for me at this point. I'd actually respect it more if they threw it back to the 24 pre-Jeff Gordon, even though there wasn't much success with that number. Honestly, I don't know why I have this one so high up. The number 45 Xfinity throwback from Mason Massey to Jimmy Spencer's No Bull 23 honestly is a very simple scheme. And if you haven't been able to tell, I love myself some simple NASCAR paint schemes. And I think it's as accurate as possible without having the tobacco sponsorship on it. Plus, I do like the fact that Mr. Excitement gets some love. I think that it's almost been like he's been erased from our memories since he left Race Hub over a decade ago. though. Other than that Dale Jr. download appearance, he really hasn't been there all that much. This one's definitely high up for me, and it's Austin Cindric's throwback to Dale Earnhardt's number 2 car. Everybody always looks at the 3, and for obvious reasons. Dale made that number font and everything about it famous, and he won so many championships with it, whether it be the Wrangler days or whether it be the GM Goodwrench days. But a lot of people don't bring up that number 2 machine he had, and the font change, in my opinion, is great as well. I actually love Penske's willingness for all 3 of his machines to change their font this year. I think it's something that's a nice touch a lot of other owners won't do, and I think Cindric will play into it. There's already pictures of him wearing Dale Earnhardt's Damn I'm Good shirt. I think it's a great way for people as well to learn about Dale's pre-RCR days. After all, Throwback Weekend in a lot of ways is a way to teach fans about stuff before they were fans. Honestly, when I saw Dean Thompson's number 26 throwback to Jamie McMurray back in the old Irwin days at Roush, well, I actually thought that it was just somebody putting something up from a really good picture on iRacing. Hot take though, I actually think this scheme looks better on the Xfinity car than it did ever on the COT cars back in the day. I think it just fits this perfectly. The 26 font also is one that I think is supremely underrated by a lot of fans, and I will fully admit it's as high up on the list as it is because I'm nostalgic for it. Love me some purple cars as well. I just like purple in general, and I gotta say, I think this is a top tier throwback in a lot of ways, and in previous years, this one actually might have won, but we do have a strong field this year. And number 2 is Parker Retzlaff's Xfinity number 4 machine, the throwback to the Kodak car driven by Ernie Irvan. This is dead on outside of the sponsorship, and even so, the sponsorship plays into it a lot, and it is straight out of the 90s, which I think is something that a lot of NASCAR schemes need nowadays. If you look at it and you're just thinking of, well, it's just a yellow car, well, yeah, but you're going to see that yellow car anytime it's on screen. You're not going to see that car just blend into the rest of the field. It's going to stand out. And that's something that I think a lot of throwbacks need as well. So many throwbacks will just kind of fade into the field. This one won't because of just how accurate in every way from number to colors it is. The top pick for me, though, for the second year in a row is Kyle Larson's throwback to Terry Labonte. This time, the old Tiger Stripe Kellogg's machine that was so famously ran up to 2003. I'm gonna be honest, I know it's chalk, I know, but you can't mess up a Kellogg scheme. You have to actively try and mess this one up. I think it fits this scheme well when it comes to the next-gen car, and the car in general, I think, is on par with the 2024 throwback. This is one that I grew up with, and I definitely grew up watching it on NASCAR Thunder 04, but I think that in a lot of ways, the Cursive Hendrick Cars logo on the side, the tiger stripes, I think it just looks great. They're great! Plus, the throwback is a connection to Darlington's past as well. Terry Labonte scoring his final career win in the 2003 Southern 500, and now this car races once more, possibly again, to victory lane. I think it's one of my favorite throwbacks ever. Now, I want to know what you think. Which this year is your favorite of the throwbacks? And list your favorites down below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And be sure to watch NWP tonight on my channel. We'll be covering a lot of stuff and have a lot of cool guest announcements, so be sure to be there. Until then, have a good one.